catch any of the crush words. I found his grammar, however, I found his conjugations were a bit off, and his tenses, such as I noticed that there's a happiest, wife cook. Instead, it could be like the happiest, my wife cooked, stuff like that, where it's just the tense isn't quite right, and that's an area he needs to focus on. Then there was John, still here, who spoke about, actually I don't know, I can't remember, but he said like 6 times. In fact, he's quite addicted to like, because in general I thought his grammar was quite good, except when he inserted like into it, such as is like happy. And so when he said, his grammar, aside from the likes, was fine, but because he kept sticking like in everywhere, it really threw off his grammar, and it's quite unfortunate. Then we had Nick, who said 3 times. As well, for Nick, I would again emphasize that his grammar needs to be improved. And I noticed in his table topics, he seemed to have a lot of fun with plurial there, such as from families and fun on me's. So it needs to work on singular there, from family, my family, I suppose, and fun on me, rather than saying plural there. Chris, who's not here anymore, so who cares really, but he said about 4 times. And I felt there was one particular sentence he said that was a bit awkward. It was become more happy. It doesn't really need, or it doesn't really need the more, just become happier. Would have been simpler. Become more happy sounds a bit awkward to my ears. Thomas, very flawless in his table topics. There he's just said, you know, didn't catch anything else. Charles, would you like to comment on me since you were evaluating me?
One and I think I wrote down an expression I liked.
Grandiose projects you don't have to find like.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
No, I just like the grandiose projects. For example, you don't have to find love, and
Thank you, Charles.
Just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I will reciprocate. I liked it when you said brain helmet. Other than that, the other thing you said, bass, mask, was pointed out by Rob. So moving on to Rob, who I also evaluated. He is still the reigning champ of Us. I stopped counting after 10. That said, I liked his use of words. It was quite good, expository. He used fluid to describe people as, actually I can't remember what that was for, but he did say fluid and I liked it, whatever it was. However, he seemed to stumble at the word transition, which I thought was an obvious word to use, but he didn't say it. He said, actually I can't remember. Mine's going. But I knew that at one point he was trying to say transition and said connecting something this, moving through, and the obvious word was transition, but he couldn't find it. Okay, so moving on to the speeches. Nick stumbled around a bit more during his speech. He said 3 times and you know 3 times. And again, his grammar, he seemed to be solid on his plurals, but his grammar was a bit more off, such as I feel damn. I certainly would not want to feel damned. I imagine that's what happens when you go to hell. What you feel is, I feel, truth be told, I don't know how to fix that one. I feel that's terrible. I suppose that would be the way to go. Or I said, damn, that's not good. It would help as well there if you put a gap in, because they'd say, I felt. It was a tense issue as well. I felt, damn. So you put a break in there, and that implies a comma to suggest they're separate, unless you're able to say something different. So again, focus on grammar there. For Jean-Luc, I just caught one and I think I wasn't even sure if it was an because what Jean-Luc is doing, and it made it very difficult for me to evaluate, because he was sort of saying, I am, he was sticking little ums, like mini ums, in between his sentences, and it was sort of like, well, is that a grammatical mistake, or should I just say he's thinking? So I just said once. Other than that, his grammar was very solid. I noticed one little thing he said, and he sounded like antidote, but he meant anecdote.
Yeah.
Other than that, oh, and one thing, I felt that he abused the term, I felt that. And the reason being is I feel it's a very weak term. If you say that I feel that, it's sort of like, well, that's my opinion, but who cares? I was about to say it myself. I think a better use of words is I thought that, or it appeared to be, but I think that when you use I felt that, it's putting too much emphasis on you and not on the person you're trying to evaluate. You want to have some sort of objective structure for evaluating the person. You don't just want to say, well, I feel this, that, because who cares about your feelings? So that's kind of cool, sorry. But I think that, and in particular because he kept repeating, I felt that when he was evaluating people, when he was evaluating Nick, I should say, it sounded very weak, and just at least some diversity in what he said would help. Thomas. I will continue with what Charles said, actually. In particular, your choice of the word you in the beginning as you described your ones and zeros. And in particular, it stuck out to me because I have a father who talks entirely in second person. And so I dislike it when people use second person because it sounds very weak. It's not in the active voice. And that is to say, it's not describing something that's very vibrant. It sounds sort of passive and general. It's sort of you. Well, who's you? Who knows? I think that a different choice of words, or a different, maybe an anecdote, saying I would have strengthened this section considerably. Saying you, it's too vague. It's not a very good word to use. And so I don't like speaking in second tense that frequently. And repeating you, it doesn't work. It just sounds like repetition, like drumming it in. Also, just towards the end there, he said a word that I honestly don't know what it was. It was melphicious or melphus?
Mellifluous.
Boy, you got me there. And maybe I should just say, if I don't know it, who does?
Very sweet and very pleasing to hear.
I see. Charles is the grand champion for evaluating, though I did not have a single thing to write. So that means he was either incredibly boring or incredibly wonderful. Either way, we did do that badly. Thank you.